Good evening. Hello, hello, hello. I'm wondering if anybody up and interested in hearing about a recap of the meeting we had last night. Let's see something here. All of these people were present. Okay. All right. Hi, Renee. How are you? It's good to see you. Okay. So a recap of last night. For those who didn't get an opportunity to tune into the Zoom meeting for the investment group, it was good. It was good. We had enough people that definitely made it worth the while, and we talked about ideas of like what each of our ideas of an investment group, what it was, what it is, what we expect to get out of an investment group. And then we talked about the different ideas of what we could do to make sure that we're utilizing this concept of compound interest. And that's basically making your money make the money for you. So making your money make the money is a concept that I wish I had known about it way earlier in life, because it's really something you don't really think about. You know, it's not like it's necessarily intuitive that you would think about how compound interest works and how it's kind of like what drives the rich get richer. Not so much poor get poor, but it definitely drives the rich gets richer. Compound interest, I think it was Albert Einstein said, it's the eighth wonder of the world. And the more and more I'm studying finance and different principles in finance, I see that, wow, it kind of is like, it is like a miracle. It's like magic, you know? But the concept is not that complicated. And basically, the ideas that were presented in the group were all ideas about how to create passive income. And passive income is basically kind of what it sounds like. You're passive, you're not really doing much. You're able to have different streams of income that don't require you to really do anything, right? You don't have to necessarily provide a service or sell something or do anything, right? Now, for most of you, that's like the dream job, right? The dream job is to be paid and you don't have to do anything at all. Well, that's what I really believe a component of financial freedom is having your money work for you instead of you working for your money. So the investment group agreed. The idea that I had, that was my top priority, because I had a few ideas. Passive income is the ways of making money where you're not actually doing anything directly to get that money. You may not be doing anything at all. You may have done something on the front end, but now it's like you're getting income and you don't have to do anything. An example of passive income would be the deal that I did with the daycare that I have. I brought in a collaborator. I partnered with her. I said, hey, I don't have time to run a child care center, but I do want to see it live on, and I do want somebody else to be able to benefit from this setup. And so she came in and we did a split. So if she makes profits, I get a percentage of that profit, and I don't have to do anything. I don't step foot in the building. I don't have to do anything. And I got my first check from the first profitable quarter, and I got a check for $1,800, and I didn't do anything. Right now, of course, the past like 12, 13 years, I did a lot. I invested a lot to get that center, but I set it up in a way where it was able to be scaled, is what they call it. And scale, my understanding of what they're calling scale, is when you set something up in a way that you can remove yourself from it and it still continue on. So that is a source of passive income. When you put your money in the stock market and your money is making money, that's a form of passive income. And so basically, who is the owner? I'm the owner. Technically, from a legal standpoint, I'm the owner, and she is what I'm calling a collaborator, not even a partner actually. But when I refer to her in common language, I will say partner, but in legal language, she's actually not an owner. But I have given her a written agreement that entitles her to certain advantages as if she was the owner. Basically, I'm like silent. I don't interfere with what is happening over there. And so that's how that's set up. And so anyway, so what was I saying here? The creating the passive income and making sure you're doing the compound, you understand the concept of compound interest, making your money make money, and then that money make more money, and then that money make more money, right? That is how the rich get richer. So the investment club, the idea that I like the most, because remember, if you followed me in the Boss Up Challenge, you would have known that I had been researching day trading and trying to see if that's something I wanted to pursue aggressively. I've been looking into all different types of things, and I'm already working on one project, and I was doing something for that project, which is what made me think of the idea that I presented to the group last night. And basically, consumer lending, as defined in Maryland, is when you loan either a person or a business less than $25,000 or up to $25,000. That's considered consumer lending. And it's actually regulated, of course, and in the state of Maryland, you do have to get a license to do it. So you can't just all of a sudden, just because you might have money, start just like loaning money out and doing contracts with people. You do have to actually get a license, and it's a stringent process, but it's not impossible. And the COMAR regs were not that difficult either. And so this is along the line of, but on a different level, like becoming a bank, basically. And so, of course, the bank standards are a lot higher, actually. Let me turn this ringer off. The bank standards are a lot higher. The application process, the regulations is more difficult. The liquid assets they want you to demonstrate you have is much higher for like a credit union or a bank. But so what I see in my future is credit union and bank, right? But where I am right now, that's too far reaching of a goal. So there has to be something in between. And what that's going to be for me and this investment group is we're going to become a finance company. We're going to become a lender to small businesses. So that's what the meeting was about. I basically shared with the group all of the research that I did. I read the regulations that govern consumer lending from cover to cover. Well, it wasn't a cover because it was actually online, but if you thought about it as a regulation book, I read it cover to cover. I read all of the regulations. I went on the Federal Trade Commission's website and I studied all the acts and laws and things around consumer lending. I just spent a lot of time looking into what it would take to get licensed and to run a consumer lending business. And I'll be honest, I don't know why more people aren't doing it. Well, I kind of do know why, but I'll tell you probably part of the reason why is because they want you to be able to demonstrate that you have a certain amount of liquid assets, basically like cash on hand, not just tied up in a home or like your home has value, that type of asset. They want liquid. So that's cash pretty much. The amount that they want, I would say from my community, the average person doesn't have that amount of money sitting around. They may not even make that amount of money in 1 year. So I think that is why more people are not doing it, because they can't come up with the money to start one. And then you have, when you do the application process, it's very stringent. The company that you're creating, you have to complete an application for the company to be licensed, and as a part of that application for your company, you're going to be giving the history and information about your company, and then you also have to give the information for the individuals that make up the company. Anybody that has like a material role in the inner workings of the business, they have to actually be included, their information. And so they're going to make you do a criminal background check. They want to make sure there are no charges surrounding issues of like fraud, theft, money laundering, anything of like a financial nature. Now, as far as other crimes, I'm not sure. Like, for instance, let's say if you had like a DWI or an assault charge, I'm not sure if that would disqualify a person. I have not submitted an application before with those circumstances to know, but I guess, I know for a fact that there are people that are scared to do things because of their background. They may have something on there, and it doesn't make them necessarily a bad person. Doesn't mean they were guilty of it, So that's another thing that I think keeps people from doing it. They want you to have fair credit. They don't want, they want to see your personal financial statement and your net worth. They want to see what you have and basically try to get an indication of how you've been handling your personal finances. And if you're trying to become a finance company, are you responsible enough to actually keep up with what's required to be a finance company? Because you're basically you're lending money out and you're expecting people to give money back, but there are a lot of rules you have to follow to make sure that you don't exploit the consumer and things like that. And so I think I really think more people are not doing it because of those reasons. Let me think. The other reason might be a person just simply would never think about becoming a lender. Most people, have never considered, what? I should just try to open a bank. I should just be my own bank. I don't know that a lot of people think that way. I know that when I started sharing the idea with people, and I haven't talked to that many people, but everyone's eyes kind of get big, or they just kind of have this look where they're like processing for a minute, like, huh? You're going to be a bank? You're going to be a finance company? It's almost like a foreign idea. Like, for some reason, especially in my community, maybe we think it's weird that a minority could ever one day be like the founder of a bank, like Capital One, but it's doable. It's something that's doable. So I feel like our investment group meeting went very well, because after I explained the type of loans we would be underwriting and originating, they understood that there's a good chance that you can get a return on your investment. There is risk, but when I assess the risk, I think that day trading is more risky than consumer lending to small businesses. Because when you're lending money to small businesses, there's a way that you can do your application process and the way you can draw up your contracts where you can have secured loans, where you have collateral on the line. Their collateral could be their actual business or a home, some type of asset. And you also can make sure that that business has been in business for a certain amount of time, like maybe at least 1 year or 6 months. And then you make sure that you don't originate huge loans in the beginning when you're just starting out. So for us, what we'll start out doing is anywhere from $500 to $5,000. And we have to assess the viability of a business when they do their application. We'll do a soft credit check, not even a hard credit check initially. And credit won't be the biggest factor. The owner's credit, and even if the business has a Dun and Bradstreet number and it's not favorable, I think if they don't have like favorable scores, The main thing people are looking for now with these short-term working capital loans are cash flow. People want to see cash flow. They want to know that you have the monthly income going through your bank, and they want you to show them like 3 to 6 months worth of bank statements. They want to know that your business is running, and they kind of want to break it down and see where you're getting your money from, what type of money. Is it credit card? Is it cash? Is it check? A lot of deposits of certain types. They want to check it out, assess the viability of your company, and then they want to make sure that you sign an agreement that you have to give them permission. They have to give you permission to withdraw the money, the payment out, and the payments are not monthly. For these short-term loans, which are anywhere from 3 months to like up to about a year, you don't do monthly, because monthly can set people up for failure. You might require a weekly payment from them. I've seen some that are requiring a daily payment where they withdraw the payment every day. And the big thing is now they don't do, they're telling people these loans don't accrue interest. These loans, there is no interest rate because there is no interest. We're just charging you a flat fee to loan you this amount of money. And the fee is based on the amount of money and your risk that they've assessed in underwriting, the level of risk they think they'll have in funding your business. So an example would be, let's say a small business needed $5,000, and maybe let's say it's a person who has been selling hair for 6 months. They've been selling bundles. They've been getting their bundles from another person who sells bundles in bulk, but they're local. And they now have done that long enough where they see if they could actually become that person and get their bulk from overseas, they could cut out the middleman and increase their profit margin. And they're doing well, right? Let's say they're really growing, they got their business going, but they want to be able to get to the next level. So now they want to get an order from China, let's say. But to order from there, their minimum that they're going to ship may be too high, where you don't have $3,000-$4,000, right? Your business might be growing and doing okay, but you might not have that money to make a power move like that and get to the next level. So that's when our company would come in. You would actually fill out an application, and we would question, what are your goals? What do you need the money for? How are you going to spend it? How is this money going to improve your business operations and increase your viability? Depending on how they answer those questions, you can decide not to loan them the money just based on that. You don't have to do it based on credit score. You don't have to do it based on a number of things. You can just simply say, I don't like your plan. That doesn't sound like a good plan. You don't have to say that directly to them, but that could be what you're thinking, and that could be a reason for you to deny the loan. But let's say you listen to what this person is saying, you look at their bank account, and you see they got this steady flow of income, and they're telling you what their plan is, and it sounds like it's feasible. So now you approve them for this loan for $5,000. So now they can hurry up. Now they get this money. They get it within a few days. Basically, it's quick. From the time you apply to the time the money is in your account, we're talking a matter of like a week, as long as everything moves forward how it should be. So you get the $5,000 to the person. She does her order. She buys her bundles in bulk from overseas, and she gets her shipment. Now, your terms that you've given her, you want her to pay you back within 3 months. She has 3 months to pay you back, right? So short term. So you're going to put a fee on it. You're going to say, in order to give you this $5,000, especially with your level of risk, I'm going to charge you $1,000 flat fee to give you $5,000, and I want to take, let's just say, you have to pay me $500 a week, basically. Maybe it'd be less than that for 3 months. Let's say $250 a week. I haven't done the actual math. This is just an example. So let's say, so the payment is every week, the same day each week, we're going to withdraw $250 from your account. And we're going to do that for 3 months. And by the time you end up paying us, you would have paid us back $6,000, meaning $5,000 was the loan amount, $1,000 was the fee. Now, from our standpoint as the lender, she thinks she didn't have an interest rate, but truly it is interest. It's just you putting a spin on it. I guess people feel better when they feel like they're not paying interest, right? But if you think about it, if you do the math backwards, if you say, okay, to get $5,000, I have to pay $1,000. Well, what percentage of that $1,000 what percentage of the $5,000 makes up that $1,000? And if you do the math backwards, you find that, oh, that's like roughly 20%, because maybe 1,000 is 20% of 5,000. 20%, there's your interest rate right there, but it's not called an interest rate. They've learned how to change the language to make people feel more comfortable and just tell you that you're getting a flat fee. But if you were to actually calculate it, you can kind of do the math and see for yourself that kind of is interest. The only thing is it's not accruing interest, you know, and it's not compound interest. So you know that no matter that 12 months, you just know what the fee is. That's it. That's all. And the other thing is if you pay it off early, unless there's a provision in the contract, the fee doesn't change. The agreement on the front end is that for me to give you this $5,000, you have to give me $1,000. So let's say that everything works out on both ends. She gets her bundles of hair, and now she's able to X out the middleman in her local community, and she now can sell the hair and get a bigger profit from her customers because she can sell the hair, you know, a little cheaper and maybe be able to get people because she was able to figure out how to get the true bulk, the true wholesale quantities from overseas. By her being able to do that, she now has a competitive edge with her competitors who are still buying the hair from the person who bought their hair from overseas. Okay, so she bought her hair, she sold the hair, and it worked out the way she thought it would, and she actually is ready to do more. She paid you back, and so now your company has basically gotten a 20% return on investment if we don't factor in expenses. Just for purposes of keeping it simple, we're not going to factor in expenses. Let's just say that $1,000 is the 20% return on the investment. You took the risk of loaning $5,000, not knowing if you would get the money back or not, right? But you got the money back, and for being willing to take that type of risk, you now have gotten a 20% return. Now, imagine you did that same deal with 10 people, right? 10 people over the course of, maybe in that month, you were able to do 10 loans of $5,000 a piece. Now that means that $1,000, let's say in a perfect world, everybody pays the money back the way they're supposed to. Now, at the end of that 3 months, you now have $10,000 for loaning out $50,000, right? 20% return on your investment. And the thing is, you didn't do anything other than assume risk. You let your money be risk and put on the line to make money for you. It's the same thing that people do in the stock market. What I like best about this is that it feels like you have more control and more of the inside scoop about this particular business that you're going to invest in and take a risk with. Whereas on the stock market, you know what they're telling the public, you know what their financial statements are that are on the SEC website, but you don't really know truly what's going on. Chances are you're not talking directly to the owner, and if you were getting the inside information, you'd be guilty of inside trading and go to jail. With consumer lending to small businesses, you in a sense get some of the inside information and get to make a real informed decision about whether or not you want to invest. And you kind of know. So I like that aspect of it. When I compare it to day trading and I look at the fact that only about 5% of people that are doing day trading are truly successful with it, to me, the risk is much less than day trading. Day trading, all the books that I've been reading, all the videos I've been watching over the past couple of weeks, they all do say the same thing. Be prepared to lose money, especially your first year. Be prepared to be frustrated because it looks like you're just putting money in and constantly losing. And so I believe that you can end up doing well with day trading, but it is high risk and you are going to lose sometimes, and you just don't know how frequently. You have no idea what is happening with the market, so you're not really in control. So the reason why I like the consumer lending thing is because you have more information about the company. Hey, Mom. You have more information about the company that you're choosing to loan this money to. Now, of course, in any situation, there's going to be times where people default and they actually do not pay back. They may pay back some of it, then they might hit hard times. But this is part of why this is different than term loans, like the traditional term loan where you get this lump sum and you might have a couple years to pay it off with the interest rate compounding. Well, with this type of loan, they usually don't exceed 12 months. And like I said, for like a $5,000 loan, you could reasonably expect this business person to have paid you back within 3 months. Maybe they just needed to meet payroll and they needed a quick working capital loan. So this is very popular now, and you'll see if you're a small business, you'll get advertisements for these companies that are basically trying to get you to apply for loans. So, and they advertise, it doesn't matter what your credit is, it's all about cash flow. And so I tried this out. I was applying for, I applied for like 7 of these things, 7 of these type of loans, because I was trying to make sure that I had some leeway with another project that I'm doing just in case I needed it. And even with my credit, which is not great, I was able to secure an $87,000 loan. The terms of the loan would have been I had to pay it back in 12 months, and the monthly payment, it would have been, they would have been taking it out weekly, and it would have ended, it was going to be very high. It was going to be a high amount. And the total fee they told me they were charging me to give me the $87,000, I would have to end up paying them around $15,000, right? So for them putting their $80,000 on the line and giving it to me all at one time, they feel like it's worth it to charge me $15,000 to do that. So imagine if your company is growing to the point where you can start originating loans that are that large. Now you actually increase your ability. That's the compound interest. If you start small, like I'm going to, you'll do those $500 to $5,000 loans. You'll get your, on average, 18 to 20% return on your investment, which definitely beats the odds for the hold and the buy and hold for the stock market. It beats those odds, which is like 10%. Day trading is just way too, it's way too much. You don't know what it's going to do. So it beats those odds. And like I said, you can build your contracts and your underwriting process to make it can be ironclad. You can have it where if they default, now you own their business, right? But as long as you're checking the cash flow, if the cash flow is there and you say this, okay, for me to loan you this money, you have to be making a minimum of $10,000 gross per month. If they see the cash flow and you can prove that, if you can get the loan. And the lender will believe you're able to pay it because, number one, they've just put this lump sum in your account. And a lot of them make you pay more in the first 6 months. If you have a 12-month loan, the one they gave me, the first 6 months was almost double the payments that it would have been the last 6 months. And I know what that's all about. They want to make sure that you pay as much of that money back on the front end before you get to the back end and start struggling. Because you're going to likely be paying them back with money they just gave you. Okay? So from a lender standpoint, yes, there's going to be risk. Yes, people might not pay back. They might default. But they have something called bad debt insurance. I'm not exactly sure how it works I've not done all the fact checking yet, and I'm definitely going to. But they do have, I know they have it for like mortgage companies. If it's a bad debt and the person defaults, you actually get paid. I don't know how much. I don't know what all the dealings that go on. I don't know how much the premiums are, but I know that oftentimes when people default, it's not a bad thing for the company, the lender, because they're actually getting something, and they may have already gotten so much more out of you. They may have gotten their money back, like in the deal with me. By the time I would have got to month 6, I would have paid them probably, I would have been getting close to paying most of the original loan amount they gave me. The last 6 months would have been finishing up with the amount they charged me to loan me that amount of money. So you see how they do it? They want to make sure on the front end that you're actually like set up to be able to pay them back. They at least want to get back the principal amount that they loaned you, even if they're not lucky enough to get back any of the interest. So when I saw this process and how it worked, I was like, I could do this. I could do this. I can't originate a $87,000 loan right now, but I could originate quite a few small loans, you know? So that's what inspired me to actually look this industry up, is because when I applied, like for those companies, like 7 different companies, each of them had a similar process, but all of them had like something a little different with how they did things. And it just gave me a lot of ideas about how that could be applied to like another level, a smaller level. And so when I researched and I saw the licensing process and everything, I mean, I'm accustomed to businesses that are highly regulated. Like the regulation books are thick, and there are so many rules you can break. It's impossible to be perfect. Childcare and assisted living in Maryland are 2 of the hardest businesses to run because of all of the regulations in dealing with human life, right? So switching over to consumer lending, and I saw their regs, I was like, oh, you just got to be organized. You got to make sure you have your files in order. Each account has certain things they want to require, but it wasn't anything close to assisted living or childcare. And so I wasn't afraid of that at all. Of course, they want a business plan as a part of the application. You have to go through a system called the NMLS system, where you do they've tried to like, even though each state regulates lending a little different, they've tried to like make it more universal. So they have this like federal level system where your application online is more streamlined and kind of having similar standards across all the states. So you go to that website, and that's where you actually do your online application. And you have to do a business plan. You have to, like I said, have a clear background check. I'm not sure if it has to be clear, but you can't have anything shady about money, banks, or whatever. They ask if you have judgments or liens against you, the business, you individually, and anybody who you want to be on your team. They're going to ask those questions. So, and then they want you have to demonstrate that you have at least $25,000 in liquid assets when you start. They just want to make sure, hey, if you're going to do this, where's your money coming from? Do you have any money to start with? What kind of loans are you going to be giving out if you don't have any money in the bank? So basically, for me personally, I didn't see many obstacles with trying my luck with this, with trying to actually apply and become a licensed consumer lending company. And I explained it like that, maybe with a little more detail at the meeting last night. And everybody pretty much was like, yeah, that sounds good. So we are going to try to get together every Monday at 9:30, and we're going to continue fleshing out the details of building this company from the ground up, finding out what our membership criteria is going to be, because we don't want too many partners. And then, like I said, each partner has to have like a really good situation to be able to even be on the application. So we need to come up with membership criteria. We have to determine like when it's open enrollment. How do we let new members in? If so, how frequently and what intervals? How do we determine their compensation? When we like split dividends, we were trying to decide, well, how much would of the money that we make, how much of the money, if there is a profit, how much of that are you going to keep in retained earnings, which is basically another way of saying how much money are you going to put back into the company of the profit that you made, which normally should have been given to the shareholders. How much of that are you going to keep in there for your business operations and growth and expansion? So those are the kind of things like the group has to come together and talk about things. And next week we have a special guest that's going to come and talk to us about banking. I think they have some kind of manager or inside kind of connection with the bank where they kind of know what the operations of a credit union, not a bank, a credit union. They know the operations of a credit union at the branch level. So they're going to be coming to Monday's meeting and talking to us about things, and that's what we're going to do. Right now we're in the information gathering stage of everything, making sure we understand like the surety bond, because you have to have an surety bond, making sure we know the expenses, try to foresee the expenses that there are going to be. You don't have to have a building, so you don't have to necessarily pay a lease anywhere. You do need to figure out what kind of software you might be using to manage your files and your loan application process to make it easier. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So when you're trying to build a company from the ground up, this is how it begins. For me, this is how it begins. When I'm looking around, I'm doing something in my everyday life, my routine life, right? And then I notice something and I start to get inquisitive about that. I get inquisitive about certain things and I start asking myself questions about certain things that I encounter. And I always apply it to, I wonder how much they make doing this. I wonder if this is something like, I wonder, like how much overhead they have. I wonder if who regulates, who governs them. It doesn't matter, like any situation I go to. If I walk into a gym and I'm there to work out with my friend, I'm looking around and I'm looking at the equipment, wondering how much it costs, wondering, like, seeing if it's empty in there or if it's crowded, trying to figure out if they might be making money. So that's how I think. And so when I actually latch on to an idea and I look into it, and the things that I see when I look into it look good to me, then I look deeper and deeper and deeper. And usually once I get deep enough where I feel like I can say, hey, I think this is a good idea, then I'll open my mouth to other people, because I do share the information. So as you can see, I'm not like keeping it secret or under wraps or anything. I'm not scared anyone's going to steal my idea or anything like that. Everybody is welcome to attempt to do this. I know that I'm definitely going to be trying to move forward with it, and apparently I have a team of people that are behind me on that. So group membership, we will be vetting people. If you end up watching this video or you've seen this video and you start thinking about it and it sounds like it makes sense to you, and you know that you are a person who could fit the mold of what's needed to be a part of something like this, inbox me. A person had inboxed me that I don't generally talk to routinely, but I was happy to see that she had reached out, and she was actually in the meeting. She was there. We met for it felt like a good 2.5 hours at least. And I was really proud of her for even attending the meeting and being open to hearing about something that she may have never heard before. A lot of people don't want to attend these meetings or these webinars because they feel like everyone is selling something. But I'm not a salesman in that sense. I'm not selling things to people right now. So when I invite people to join me in a meeting or a live stream, it's usually because I'm sharing information or because I'm trying to pull together, I'm trying to network and see and distinguish between who's serious and who's not. And I think it's been working. Of course, I don't have a lot of people beating down my door, but I will say that I've been impressed with the number of people who are contacting me and staying in touch with me and expressing interest and showing up for certain things. So I really appreciate that. So if you feel like you're good enough to be the bank, hit me up. Because you know how everybody's saying, yeah, I got my money, I'm putting my money, I'm taking my money to the bank, baby. I'm getting to the bag, about to put my money in the bank. I got money in the bank. And that sounded good. That sounded good. But now I feel like I'm like on a different level. I want to be the bank. I want to be the bank. So the topic I said that I would talk about tonight was going to be a recap of what the meeting was, which I just did. And I also was going to talk about don't put yourself on the bench. Don't bench yourself. Don't approach life like it is a game where you're on the team, but you're on the bench. And you're on the bench because of your performance or your lack of performance. You went out of your way to do whatever it took to try to get on the team, but your performance as being a part of the team, the coach doesn't think you're ready to play. They didn't kick you off the team, but they benched you. And in a sense, you benched yourself. Usually you bench yourself if you're not leveling up to meet the expectations of whoever it is you're working with. And so if you're not meeting the coach's expectations on any level, you might get benched. And then some people actually have a lot of potential and they bench themselves. They're sitting on the bench and the coach actually wants to put them in the game. No, they probably would dominate if they really just gave it a little bit more effort. And you have a lot of people just sitting on the bench, and you never know, like the day that you decide you don't feel like getting in the game, that might be the day that there's a scout in the audience. Or it could have been like your opportunity to make your debut as a superstar. But if you're on the bench by choice or not by choice, if you feel like it's not your choice, you won't have that opportunity. If you have somebody that's trying to put you in the game, I'm only assuming you want to be in the game because you did try out for the team, right? So I'm not trying to say that the spectators in the audience, I'm not even trying to say why y'all not in the game. They didn't try out for the team. Clearly, they don't want to be a part of this. They want to spectate. And that's fine because you need the spectators. Unless you're just playing to not be watched or to not make any money at a professional level, you need your spectators, right? So we're not going to down the spectators. But what I'm saying to you is if you have expressed an interest in doing something like being a part of this sports team, then once you make cuts, perform. Get in the game. Don't just be on the sideline, just watching everybody else putting in work and trying to help the team win. See? So I think it's really important. I see a lot of people trying, and at least you did try out for the team. At least you did make the team, right? But if you have a coach, and this coach, maybe it's a really good coach, and he really feels like you need to get yourself together so that you can get in the game, because that coach knows that once you get in the game, you're going to be unstoppable. Well, that's how I feel about business. That's how I feel about people that I encounter sometimes that they say they want to do business. They might take a few steps and it looks like they're trying to do something, but for whatever reason, the follow through is not there. The consistent performance required to do well is not there. So this is what I see. This is the best analogy that I can give. People are on the bench or on the sideline and just seem to be like they want to get in the game, and they're so close. They're not really truly a spectator in the audience, but they're not in the active game either. And some of it might be fear. They might fear, like if it's football, they might fear getting out there and getting hit and getting tackled and getting down and having to get back up each and every time. And that feels like business, right? But if you have somebody that's willing to put you on their team, mold and coach, and try to help you to get in the game, hopefully with the idea that at some point you're going to move on and be better for it, why are more people not doing what it takes when you get an invitation to get in the game? And don't be mad when you miss that train. You know, that's all I can say. So don't bench yourself. And if you claim you want to be in the game, be in the game. Be an active player. Tonight has been dry. It's 10:30. I know the Boss Up Challenge is over, but I did tell you all that I would check in with you all periodically to talk to you about, keep giving you updates about what's going on with me, and still trying to give information about, leveling up, bossing up, and doing what you have to do to get to your next level. I'm not here to make any goals for people. I'm not trying to really set your goals. I'm not here to try to convince people that have jobs that they should quit their job and they should figure out how to be in business. I'm not really doing that. The people that I'm trying to reach are the people who are giving indications or outright saying they want something different. And if you want something different, this message is for you. In my opinion, you do need to get in the game. Get on the team, get in the game. You're not a team player? Figure out a solo sport. Tennis, golf, where you don't have to rely on other people. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody does not enjoy working in groups or being a part of a team. It can be difficult, but there are options. Just get in the game and perform. That's the message for you. So be the bank. You can be the bank. Maybe. Depends on how you've lived your life. But if you have certain things in order, you could be the bank. All those cruises that you took, they were $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and you did that for the last 10 years. That could have been $30,000, $40,000, or the $30,000 wedding that you had. That could have been your money right there. That could have been your liquid assets to be able to apply for the license. I know that people are in a position where sometimes people are in a position where they actually could have lump sums of money, but they never let money sit around long enough to accumulate. But they'll take these little smaller sums, like a few $1,000s, and have a nice trip, or do little things here and there. And then when you add that up over the years, that could have been your lump sum. That could have been your capital to be able to do a business or start a lending company. So I know I only got one person in here watching, but thank you for everybody who stopped in this evening. If anyone have any questions about consumer lending, the world of finance, investment clubs, hit me up, inbox me. We are welcoming people to come and talk with us. It's not even confirmed who the we is going to be yet. I know I am in this, but we're not sure who the we is going to be. So that we could be you. It could be you. Step forward if you feel like you would like to explore what I talked about in this video. It's no MLM. I'm not selling you anything. It's nothing like that. It's nobody over top of me that's a company that's telling me I need to come and recruit people. It's not that kind of thing, okay? It's not a scam. Contrary to popular belief, Black people can work together without distrusting one another when we start talking about money. Okay? It can work. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. I'm hoping that people will see this because I thought the concept was phenomenal. And that's why I'm like, oh, that's why Albert Einstein said that. It's the eighth wonder of the world. Because once you discover it and see it, you're just like, wow. It's just amazing. And you start reflecting on stuff that just makes sense now. You know, that is compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get out of here. Boss up.